There is a 13,000-pound military truck that two supreme commanders called their most valuable weapon, and you can buy one this weekend for $3,500. The M35 Deuce and a half hauled supplies through 5 wars. Its engine was designed in the 1950s to survive nuclear apocalypse, built to burn diesel, jet fuel, kerosene, even gasoline, if every refinery on the continent was reduced to a crater. It has 0 electronics, not one chip, not one sensor. It is technically a military tactical vehicle, sold surplus as off-road use only, yet most states will title and register it with no commercial driver's license required. So why is a truck that Eisenhower and Patton both called the most important tool in defeating Nazi Germany sitting on a surplus lot in Missouri for less than your truck payment? To answer that, you have to understand what made generals worship a cargo truck in the first place. The generals who crushed the Wehrmacht did not worship tanks, artillery, or even the mythic Jeep. They reserved their highest praise for a cargo truck. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, looking back on the Allied victory, named 4 machines as the backbone of liberation: the bulldozer, the Jeep, the 2.5-ton truck, and the C-47 airplane. It was the truck, plain, ugly, and relentless, that turned the tide from North Africa to the heart of Germany. General Patton, never one for understatement, called it the Army's most valuable weapon. Not a weapon in the way of a rifle or a cannon, but a weapon of movement, of supply, of endless, grinding logistics. Numbers tell the story better than any speech. In the fall of 1944, the Red Ball Express thundered across France and Belgium, a rolling artery of steel and sweat. 5,958 trucks ran day and night for 81 days, hauling over 12,000 tons of fuel, ammunition, and rations every single day. The road was a blur of canvas tops and battered bumpers, engines howling, tires burning through the mud. The drivers, most of them young, many of them black soldiers from segregated units, faced enemy fire, breakdowns, and exhaustion, but they kept the convoys moving. Without them, Patton's tanks would have run dry before reaching the Rhine. The Red Ball was more than a supply route. It was the lifeline of the Allied advance, and the 2.5-ton truck was its beating heart. There is reverence in these numbers, and there is truth in the lineage. The M35 Deuce and a half did not appear out of nowhere. Its DNA runs straight from the wartime GMC CCKW, the original Deuce, through the wreckage of Europe, across the drawing boards of REO Motor Car Company, and into the post-war arsenal. When REO's first M35s rolled off the line in 1950, Ransom Eli Olds, the founder and namesake of the company, had just passed away. His legacy, built in steel and gasoline, lived on in the truck that would carry America's wars for the next 70 years. The Deuce is not just a machine, it is a monument, rolling, battered, and still alive. It is the physical proof that wars are won not just by firepower, but by the stubborn will to keep moving forward, no matter the cost. Every time a surplus M35 sits for sale at a price that barely buys a set of tires for a modern pickup, it is a reminder of what American engineering once meant: function over flash, endurance over comfort, and freedom measured in tons delivered, not dollars spent. 10,000 pounds of payload, 6 driven wheels, and a price that barely registers. These are the facts behind the M35. On government auction sites, the numbers are matter of fact. A running, unrestored Deuce can be found for $3,500, sometimes even less. That sum, barely enough for a down payment on a new pickup, buys a truck built to haul 5 tons wherever it is needed, road or no road. The gross vehicle weight rating comes in just under 26,001 pounds. That number is not arbitrary. It means, in most states, the M35 sits below the threshold for a commercial driver's license. Registration is straightforward. An SF-97 form, a bill of sale, maybe a VIN check, and you are holding the keys. Some states allow farm plates or historic vehicle tags. There is no emissions test, no dealership paperwork, and no computer diagnostics. For a few $1,000s, ownership is simple and direct. A title to a piece of military hardware. The payload rating is equally blunt. 10,000 pounds on pavement, 5,000 off-road. Veterans recall these trucks carrying more than their official limit, from the mountains of Korea to the deserts of Iraq. The cargo bed, 8 by 12 feet, swallows pallets, tools, or the gear of an entire squad. Under the hood, a 7.8-liter multifuel inline 6 delivers 134 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque. There are no electronics, no software, just mechanical force and a 24-volt system that runs on wrenches, not laptops. Auction listings are brief. Runs, drives, brakes work. 10,000-pound payload. No CDL required. Prices range from $2,500 to $4,000, depending on condition and location. Some states ask for a weight certificate or special inspection, but the process is often less complicated than registering a new pickup. The Deuce's weight keeps it below the line where bureaucracy steps in. A new diesel truck costs upwards of $80,000, packed with computers and sensors, and its payload rarely matches the Deuce's. The M35 is affordable, accessible, and still earning its keep. For the price of a set of tires on a modern truck, you own a piece of American logistics history, ready to work. No permission required. In the years after World War II, American generals and Pentagon planners faced a new kind of nightmare. The Red Ball Express had shown what trucks could do in a shooting war, but the Cold War brought a different threat. Nuclear fire, not artillery, could erase entire cities and cripple the nation's fuel supply in a single strike. Deep inside the Pentagon, contingency studies ran through every scenario. What happens if Soviet bombers torch the refineries along the Gulf Coast? What if the rail lines and pipelines go silent? The answer was always the same. Without fuel, the army does not move. And if the army does not move, nothing else matters. So the doctrine shifted. No more reliance on a single fuel. No more assuming diesel or gasoline would always flow from the tap. The new mandate was blunt. Every frontline vehicle must run on whatever could be scrounged from a wrecked depot, a civilian tank farm, even captured enemy stockpiles. In 1957, the Joint Army-Navy Transport Study laid out the stakes in black and white. Refineries could vanish overnight. The only way to guarantee movement after a nuclear exchange was to make trucks fuel agnostic, able to burn anything that would ignite. This was not just a technical challenge, it was a philosophical one. The M35 would be built for a world where the rules had changed, where the next war might begin with a mushroom cloud and end with convoys running on whatever liquid remained. The truck became a rolling insurance policy, designed by planners who refused to let logistics become a casualty of Armageddon. The M35's heart is a feat of Cold War logic hammered into cast iron. Under the hood sits the Continental LDT 465, a 7.8-liter inline 6 that does not care what you pour into its tank. Diesel, kerosene, JP, or jet fuel, heating oil, even gasoline mixed with motor oil. If it burns, this engine can use it. That was not a marketing gimmick. It was doctrine, written into Army manuals and Pentagon contingency plans. The compression ratio stands at a staggering 22 to 1, far higher than any civilian truck. And every bit of that pressure is there to make sure low-grade fuel explodes when it is supposed to, not before. The secret is the MAN hypercycle system, a German design licensed by Continental. At its core is the fuel density compensator, a spring-loaded device grafted onto the mechanical injection pump. It reads the specific gravity of whatever fuel is in the tank and tweaks injection timing on the fly. No electronics, no sensors, no computers, just gears, springs, and raw mechanical logic. The Army Technical Manual TM 923-20209 spells it out. Switch fuels in the field, keep moving, and let the compensator sort out the details. Early M35s kept the compensator as standard, but by the late 1970s, most trucks had it removed or bypassed. Diesel was everywhere by then, and the extra maintenance was not worth the headache. Still, the core engine stayed the same, over square, under-stressed, and built to run when nothing else would. The result is a truck that is as stubborn as the engineers who built it. A machine that turns policy into steel and doctrine into motion, no matter what the world throws at it. Route 19 in Vietnam was a supply line carved through the highlands, a ribbon of dirt and ambushes stretching from the coast to the interior. On September 2, 1967, it became a killing ground. The convoy rolled out at dawn, dozens of trucks, drivers on edge, engines rattling in the heat. The enemy waited in the tree line, patient and invisible. Then the world erupted. Mines tore through the lead vehicles, gunfire hammered the column, and chaos swallowed the road. By the time the smoke cleared, 30 trucks burned in the grass. 17 men lay wounded. 7 would never go home. The numbers are cold, but the aftermath was colder still. Drivers crawled from wreckage with nothing but sidearms and shock. The radio calls for help went unanswered for too long. The trucks were unarmored, unarmed, built for cargo, not combat, and they offered no shelter. Brass called it an isolated incident. On the ground, it was a massacre. The loss was not just steel and rubber, it was trust, shattered by the sense that the men behind the wheel had been sent out naked into the teeth of war. There was no official fix, no sudden shipment of armor or guns. The Army's answer was to keep running convoys, to hope the odds would shift. But hope was a poor shield. The message was clear. If you wanted to survive, you would have to build your own protection. The crisis on Route 19 was not just a tactical failure. It was a breaking point for the anonymous men who kept the war supplied, and it forced a new kind of courage, one that welded steel at midnight and dared the rules to catch up. In a Tennessee garage, long after the convoy stopped rolling, a man named Sammy set out to rebuild what the Army tried to forget. He was a driver with the 523rd Transportation Company, one of the men who welded their own armor, who named their trucks like ships and carried their friends through fire. For years, the original Ace of Spades had vanished, scrapped, lost, or left to rust. But Sammy remembered every weld, every plate, every gun mount. He spent months tracking down parts, bending steel, and painting the old stencil letters by hand. The replica was not a showpiece. It was a promise, kept to ghosts. When the Smithsonian Channel came looking for stories of American ingenuity, they found Sammy and his Ace of Spades. In 2017, the truck rolled out for veterans' reunions and parades, a rolling monument to the men who refused to die quietly. The Smithsonian called it a symbol of field-forged survival, but for Sammy, it was something quieter, a way to drive through memory, to keep the names of lost friends from slipping away. He died in 2018. His family keeps the truck running, the engine still coughing to life on cold mornings, the armor still pitted and real. Only one original gun truck survives, eve of destruction, preserved at Fort Eustis. The rest exist in memory, in stories, and in the stubborn labor of men like Sammy. Each time the Ace of Spades starts up, it fills the silence left by all the trucks that did not make it home. For the families, for the drivers, for anyone who understands what it means to build your own shield when the world will not give you one, the echo is unmistakable. Finding a deuce is less a matter of luck than knowing where to look and how to read between the lines. Gov. Planet stands at the center of the surplus world, running weekly online auctions that move everything from Humvees to M35 trucks. Each Thursday, a new batch appears, sometimes a dozen trucks, sometimes just one or two. The listings are blunt, a few photos, a mileage number, maybe a note about rust or a torn seat. The price starts low and the bidding can be fierce, but it is not uncommon for a runner to hammer for $3,500 or less. Misspelling deuce as deuce or searching for Army 6x6 sometimes turns up forgotten gems buried in the classifieds. Outside the auction circuit, Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace serve as the Wild West of private sales. Search terms shift, military truck, M35, or just Army cargo, and patience pays. The Steel Soldiers Forum is a gathering place for those who know every bolt and quirk, with a classified section that often lists trucks posted nowhere else. Coleman Surplus and a handful of specialty dealers keep a few on hand, but the best deals are almost always direct from government release, before flippers tack on their margin. Every path starts with the same ritual: scan the listings, check the auction calendar, and be ready to move fast. The trucks do not wait for hesitation, and neither do the buyers. Once you spot your deuce, the next step is the paperwork: SF-97, the bill of sale, and the quiet satisfaction of beating the system at its own game. The process of putting plates on a deuce is less a bureaucratic maze than a test of patience and paperwork. The Army releases each truck with an SF-97 form, essentially a government-issued birth certificate for surplus vehicles. That document, stamped and signed, is the key to unlocking civilian ownership. Most states accept the SF-97 form, paired with a bill of sale and a VIN inspection, as enough to issue a regular title. In Kentucky, you can walk into the county clerk's office and walk out with farm plates. Indiana offers a permanent military vehicle registration with no annual renewal required. California, ever the outlier, counts the axles and demands a Class B license for anything with 3 or more axles, even if the truck's weight slips under the CDL line. Some DMV offices will ask for a weight certificate, an official scale ticket to prove the truck's curb mass. Others might require a special inspection or a historic vehicle tag. But in most cases, there is no emissions test, no dealership markup, and no computer to interrogate. The checklist is simple: SF-97 form, bill of sale, VIN check, weight slip if they ask. The rest is a matter of signatures and rubber stamps. For a machine built to cross continents under fire, the hardest part of civilian life is waiting for the state to catch up. $3,500. That is the going rate for a deuce that runs, hauls, and could, in a different era, have carried a platoon through a jungle or a mountain pass. Stack that against a new Ford F-350, stickers shocked at $85,000, loaded with sensors, computers, and a warranty that disappears the first time you ask it to do real work. The numbers are almost insulting. The Deuce does not care about Bluetooth, lane assist, or DF fluid. It does not even care about the price of diesel. It was built to run on whatever could be scrounged, siphoned, or captured. But the real divide is not just dollars and cents. It is in the wiring. The M35 lives in a 24-volt world, military grade, immune to the 12-volt logic of civilian trucks and the endless creep of software. There is no port to plug in, no code to scan, no digital leash. Every system is mechanical, every circuit built for the kind of punishment that would send a modern truck limping to the dealership. When you turn the key, you are not asking permission from a computer. You are commanding a machine designed to outlast empires. That is what you are buying for the price of a used ATV: sovereignty. The right to own, operate, and maintain a piece of American iron that answers to no one but the person holding the wrenches. The Deuce is not just a bargain. It is a declaration. In a world where everything is leased, tracked, and remotely disabled, it stands as proof that some tools are still yours, and yours alone. Today, you can buy the machine Eisenhower called our most valuable weapon for less than the price of a used Corolla. No sensors, no diesel exhaust fluid, no digital leash, just steel, fuel, and sovereign capability. In a world obsessed with complexity, the M35 endures as a monument to American defiance and utility. There is nothing left to hack, only a legacy you can drive. Let me know in the comments, would you trust one with your life?